Welcome to this brief tutorial that's focusing on doing Psalms research, not through the library catalog, which will uncover book kinds of items, but doing research on the Psalms through an online database, one that Freed subscribes to. It's called ATLA. It's a religion kind of database. It will be a good friend to you when it comes to uncovering article treatments on your Psalm, uh, articles taken from journals, periodicals that are out there in biblical studies. It will also help you uncover what the database calls essay material. These are chapter-length studies from book kinds of materials. ATLA is a database that's a go-to place for finding fairly focused and fairly academic material on your psalm, whatever that psalm happens to be. Let's take a look at how to access the database for starters. Virtually all your research scenarios will begin, at least while you're at Freed, with the FHU library main web page, which is what you're looking at on the screen. And one of the perpetual links you'll see on the far right is for journals and databases. This is where you'll find databases like ATLA. You can follow that link and uncover a directory and a whole bunch of other links, one of which is the ATLA database, which is a frequently used database at Freed. You can go ahead and open that up. And this tutorial will encourage you to resist the temptation to utilize the search boxes here. These search boxes are perfect for certain kinds of research, but when it comes to a particular passage of Scripture or a particular psalm which would apply to you, one of their features, which is kind of hiding away, is indicated by the label indexes. Okay, you won't use this every day, but for this kind of course, for this kind of project, this is a perfect fit. You follow the indexes link, and the way you can tell the database, hey, I'm interested in a particular passage of Scripture, is by selecting one of these many indexes, the one labeled Scripture Citation. So make sure you select Scripture Citation Search, and at this point you could type in a passage. For purposes of demonstration, we're going to pretend like we're focusing on Psalm 104. The database prefers the pluralized form of that, even though we're only looking at one psalm. But go ahead and use the same lingo or same terminology. ATLA will really appreciate that. So pluralize your psalm. Psalms 104. If it was Psalm 23, it would be Psalms 23, for example. At this point, you could hit return or enter, and it will do a quick browsing sort of thing through the index, and you will be presented with a, well, sometimes short, this is a moderately long list of options. This is the database's way of telling you, okay, now what specifically is your focus? You'll see a lot of single verses highlighted through here, or short spans of verses. It would be best, if you want to uncover all the rocks that the database has to offer, to select most, if not all, of these check boxes, okay? I'm skipping one here. This is a 3 psalm range that might not hurt, but I'm not going to select it just for the time being. There are plenty other options here. Psalm 104 verse 2, Psalm 104 verse 20, etc., etc. Some of you will be selecting every checkbox on a screen and actually hitting the next button, which I'm about to do here, because we still haven't run out of options, although it may look as though we are. There's Psalm 104 verse 3 here on the second page of results. Most of you won't have too many more than this to select, but you might as well. Certainly doesn't hurt anything. Of course, once you get into another psalm region, like Psalm 105, for example, there's no need to continue selecting boxes. At this point, you will select the fairly large button here, front and center, that's labeled Add. This is your way of adding all of those checked boxes into one big search box. And that's what we're doing at this point. As you can see, we have a big fat search box up here with a lot of ors in between, various um, verses, passages within Psalm 104. But we haven't done any searching yet. In fact, now is the time you would actually hit search. Let the database do its thing. We've uncovered 75 items. You can see over here. These items are going to include two types of sources for the most part. Journal articles, you see here, and essay materials, okay? Both would probably be a good fit for what you're doing in this Psalms course. Not every item in this list is going to be just a click away like items 1, 2, and 3, PDF, full text options, but a lot of them will be, okay? Some are very academic sounding. Look at item number 2. It's from something called Journal for the Study of the Old Testament, okay? A very scholarly item, journal item. We could scroll a little bit till we get, notice not everything in this database is actually in English. It looks like item 9 and 10 are both in a foreign language, so I suppose most of you will be skipping right over those. That's fine. Item number 11 is interesting. Look at the name of it. The title is The Lion, the Wicked, and the Wonder of It All, Psalm 104 and the Playful God. Now that sounds interesting, maybe an enjoyable read, but it might not be a good fit for an academic setting, even for an undergrad class like you're in now. This is from a source called Journal for Preachers. So if you're a preacher preparing for a sermon this coming Sunday, this might be a good fit for that kind of setting. But for a college level course, perhaps not. So be on your guard. There are a number of items in this database just like that. Okay. Most of these will be a good fit though for a class like you're in. Let's do a little bit more scrolling here. The feeling for form in Psalm 104. That doesn't sound bad, from the Journal of Biblical Literature. Item 39 in this list is called The Poetry of Creation, Psalm 104. Sounds interesting. Notice what kind of resource it is, though. It's not an article from a journal. It's labeled an essay, okay? And when it comes to an essay, this is the kind of thing that will appear inside a book with a completely different title, okay? In this case, that book is called God Who Creates. And the essay is like a chapter that was published on pages 87 through 103. So what if you want to get your hands on a good sounding article like this? Maybe you wanted to focus, at least for a part of your paper, on the poetic nature of the psalm. This would be a good fit. This is a book that is on the shelf, on a shelf of the FHU library right now. This would be a good time for you to hop into maybe the library catalog and do a quick search for God Who Creates, or come by the library and let us help you get your hands on it. Of course, there's not going to be a PDF full text link for some of this material. We can do a little bit more scrolling here. Keep in mind, these essays are going to be very helpful, especially if the topic seems right on for what you're doing. Item number 58 here is interesting. It's called The Waters of the Earth, an exegetical study of, let's see, the first 9 verses from Psalm 104. Sounds interesting. It's from a journal called Grace Theological Journal. So it's not an essay, but you still, this will happen from time to time, you still will not find for some of these a nice handy PDF, just click here and it'll open up on your computer kind of option. This is a journal that Freed has in its collection. You will have to actually physically visit the library to get your hands on it, which of course is a perfect setup for articles like this that sound right on maybe for what you're exploring. So please keep that in mind. Not everything's going to be a click away. Some of the most attractive items, most relevant items will actually be here in ATLA in the form of what we would call a citation. You know, it'll give you the title of an article, it'll give you the name, who wrote it, it'll tell you what journal it appeared in with all sorts of dates and page numbers, and your job will then be to come by and maybe see us physically in the library when you have time, and let us try to help you get your hands on some of this material. We hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, please let us know. We're here at Freed in the library to help you with projects like this Psalms related research that you're doing for this course. Thank you so much.